In this session, we're going to talk about Azure Functions supporting dependency injection, starting with version 2. We're going to use version 3 of Azure Functions in this demo. As you know, dependency injection is a software pattern to achieve inversion of control. Let us see how this is done in Azure Functions. Let's create a new project. I'm going to create a new project here. I'm going to select DI, it's an empty folder. I'm going to select C#. I'm going to select HTTP trigger, and I'm going to select a function name called place order, and I'm going to call it food delivery dot app. I'm going to leave it as anonymous. It's going to create a new project. So let's see so every time when you open a function project, you have this function app being created, and as you can see here, the function class is always static, and also the function method is also static. Now with DI we have to change this, and let's go to the CS proj, and we need to add certain packages to enable DI. So let's see what those are. So I'm going to add two packages here, two NuGet packages. So as you can see here, so I have extensions HTTP, and then I have Azure Functions extensions. So this is what contains our DI package. So I'm going to change the codes here. It is not correctly copied. This is a good thing to remember, that these codes are not supported. Actually, these are actually not double codes. Now it's good. So make sure that you always copy correctly. So I clicked on restore to restore the NuGets. Now once we have the NuGets ready, now let's create a new class for setting up the DI. So there is let's call it startup class. I'm going to set up a new class called startup.cs. Now note that let's use the same namespace. I'm going to use the same namespace here. So I have the namespace set up. Now I'm going to set up a class. So let's call it public class startup. Now in order to make this a startup class, we have to inherit from a class called function startup. Okay, so I'm going to add the namespace for this. So we need to add the namespace so that we can compile this correctly. I'm going to add this namespace here. So now this class does not implement the abstract member configure. So we need to implement a method called configure. So let's do that. So as you can see here, I have added two things here. I've added a marker here to show that this is a function startup, and this is the type of namespace and the class name. I have also added a configure method to satisfy this class that we inherited here, function startup. And in this configure method, I've added this builder.services.http client. Basically, I am saying that we have a dependency injection for HTTP client because we're using iHTTP client factory, as you can see here in the documentation. To summarize, we have this assembly level attribute called function startup, where I'm specifying the class name, and I'm qualifying the class name with food delivery.app, which is my namespace here. I can use any class name here. I've used startup just for convenience. And once we implement this, we have to override a method called configure, which takes in iFunctions host builder parameter, and then we are adding this HTTP client. So this HTTP client is actually coming from this library that I've imported, which is Microsoft Extensions HTTP. So when I go and check definition here, it takes me to Microsoft Extensions dependency injection iService collection. That's what it's returning, and it is adding system.net.http iHTTP client factory. So coming back to place order, I'm having this constructor injected here, HTTP client. the HTTP client is being injected via the constructor, and I'm getting this client object which I have declared at the class level. So I'm using the client object and I'm creating an instance of the HTTP client and then sending a request, a GET request to Stack Overflow and getting the response. Let us see how this works. So I'm going to run this and I'm going to open Postman to run the request. So it's running now. So I have this endpoint here. I'm going to go to Postman and I'm going to run this request. So I'm going to click on the send button here and I'm getting a status of 200, which means the function has executed and I have the status code as 200. In this demo, I'm going to show you how to log requests using the iLogger injection. So here I have declared a variable called iLogger of place order. I have also taken this as a parameter for my constructor injection. I'm getting the log instance and I'm assigning the log instance to my class level variable, and I'm invoking log underscore log information, and I'm logging in the function name and the response code. Let us see how this works. So I'm going to start the debugging here. I'm going to run this function. I'm going to get an endpoint here. I'm going to go to Postman and invoke that endpoint. So I have the endpoint here. I'm going to go to Postman. I'm going to send a request here, and I'm going to see I have a status of 200, and also here it has printed out the log information. Place order is my name of the function here, and it has written OK. OK is coming from the response dot status code. For this to work, I have added this log level in my host.json. Now I have my namespace here, fooddelivery.app, and the name of the function place order, and I'm setting it to the information level. In the final session, we're going to talk about the configuration. So for the configuration to work, I've added this package, Microsoft.extensions.configuration, which has the iConfiguration class. So if I go back here to my startup, I've created a class called function options, which I'm going to show you. So I have a class called function options, which has two values. One is a boolean value of is logging enabled, another is an integer value of retry count, whose values are defined in the local settings. In the local settings, I put function options colon is logging enabled, a boolean value, and retry count, an integer value. So these two values are coming from the class function options, which has the same properties. Now in order for this configuration to work, we have to add this to the startup.cs. So in the startup.cs, I have added this builder.services.add-options function options, and which is taking an interface iConfiguration. Basically, I'm defining a configuration here using the section called function options, which is actually a name value pair class. So when I go back to my function here, place order, I am actually declaring a variable of function options, and I'm using this iOptions interface, which is a part of extensions, which is a part of Microsoft Extensions options, and which is actually being constructor injected here, and I'm getting this value. I'm using this value property here to get the settings. Make sure that you use this correctly, because I have declared here function options, but for the constructor injection I have declared iOptions of function options, and while setting it back to settings I have used options.value. So once you get the settings instance, you just call settings.retry_count and settings.isLogging enabled, as you can see here. I'm going to run this, and we're going to see values of 3 and true in the console. So I'm going to run this, and I need to invoke this HTTP trigger using my Postman once I get the request. So I got the endpoint. I'm using Postman. I'm sending the request here, and I see that I have retry count is 3 and is logging enabled as true, which is actually coming from my local settings.json. So to summarize, we have seen how constructor injection works in Azure Functions. We have injected HTTP client, we have injected logging, and we have also injected options using this iConfiguration interface. So if you go back to the function class again, In the constructor, you will see there are three injections, three different classes being injected here: HTTP client, I options, which is I configuration, and also logger.